UK state news agency says the West stands to lose assets worth at least $288 billion if frozen Russian assets are confiscated. Now, after Moscow invaded Ukraine, the US and its allies blocked around $300 billion worth of assets. Now, some Western powers have floated the idea of using confiscated holdings to rebuild Ukraine once the war has finally ended. But Russia reaffirmed on Sunday that countermeasures could follow what it calls Western thievery. Well, according to the RIA, the top investors in the Russian economy include Cyprus with more than $98 billion, the Netherlands with $50 billion and the UK with nearly $19 billion. It also reports that Germany has $17 billion invested, France $16 billion and Italy almost $13 billion. We're joined by Francis Coppola, who's an economist and bank commentator. Thanks again for being with us. The Kremlin says that there's still a lot of Western money in Russia, as we're saying, almost $300 billion. Unsure if those numbers are accurate at this point in time. But what can Russia do? Because it's threatened endless legal challenges and tit-for-tat measures. But can it follow through on those threats against the EU, the UK and the US?
Well, I think it can. We should remember that some of the money, I'm not entirely sure how much, that Russia says it has access, its holding, has been essentially stuck in Russia since 2022, when Russia imposed the capital restrictions. And it absolutely could seize that money, and also impose embargoes on transfers and banks and things like that. So yes, I think it certainly could seize some, at least, of that money.
Well, why haven't these companies and countries been able to get their money out of Russia? I mean, the war's been going on for more than 2 years now. I guess how at risk are some of these businesses?
Well, I know some of them had tried to divest their Russian assets and not been able to do so. Some of them also obviously have tried to get money out of Russia and been prevented. And some of them have simply decided to carry on having a Russian presence. Some banks, for example, have continued to have a Russian arm, Raiffeisenbank in Austria, for example, I think UniCredit as well. So there is an element of, yes, I know there are sanctions, but hey, it might all blow over. We might be able to get back to business. And so we've kind of left our business frozen there until things improve. So there's an element of that as well.
Okay. How will this impact those banks then that have decided to leave their money in there? And will this have any sort of lasting impact, in the years to come?
Well, I think, if Russia follows through on this, we could see some wobbles involving some companies, possibly some banks. But I think that I would hope that the relevant regulatory authorities, the central banks, were prepared for this and not let it develop into a full-blown financial crisis. But we may see some companies experiencing difficulties.